Uja, greetings. I am Sehu Khepra, and welcome to our early morning ancient Egyptian devotional dedicated to Goddess Net in all her mystic forms, gods and goddesses, who are derived from her transcendental essence. The liturgy, which you will be able to see on screen, is recited in the ancient Egyptian language, the Medu Neter. English and Brazilian Portuguese translations is provided for you. You can see these translations on screen directly below the hieroglyphic text transliteration. You are welcome to participate by chanting along in your worship space, home, or wherever you may happen to be during the service. Or you are also welcomed to listen quietly in a contemplative mood. Following the devotional, Uashu, and the recitation of the liturgy and meditation, Ua, we will have a brief wisdom or rec teaching by Sehu Khepra, leader and priest of the Medu Neter Temple of Net. Before we begin, please remember to mute all devices. We will now begin. Presented on the screen at the moment is a stone-carved depiction of the facing pylons of the Temple of Net from the statue of Heru. On the left and right sides are the pylons in which one of the symbols of Goddess Net sits atop of a papyrus standard. Her emblem is her two arrows crossed and tied to her shield. This symbolizes the protection and resurrection of the soul within this place, the temple. Behind the emblems of Net on both sides are the flags, which mean Neter, divinity. In the center of the pylons at the bottom is the opening to the temple, and above that is the pyramidal structure, which symbolizes the four equilateral planes of the universe and the mystic number 4. Above that, at the very top, is the cow hieroglyph, which means rising. It symbolizes the sun rising between the mountains, the Aket symbol, and for the initiates, the emergence of spirit consciousness. Net nesumer puneter mine. Jedef nesu hatepti net perkeru. Menket mert hepsed neb enkaen. Geri het hertep ssn het net. Inat ren efjeta. Net nesumer punater amine. Jedef nesu hatepti net perkeu. Menget mert hepsed neb enkaen. Yeri hertep ssn het net. Ina Renef Jeta Net Nesumer Puneter Emine Jedef Nesuha Tepti Net Perkeru Benket Mert Hep Set Neb Enkaim Gary Hep Hurt Hep SSN Het Net Enat Ren Jeta Net Nesumer Puneter Emine Jedef Nesuha Tepti Net Perkeru Benket Mert Hep Set Neb Enkaim Gary Hep Hurt Hep SSN Het Net Enat Ren Jeta Amun Kerefu Ben FM Heru Akuti Anata Shakira Nefer Nebu Ben Amun Kerefu Ben FM Heru Akuti Anata Shakira Nefer Nebu Ben Amun Kerefu Ben FM Heru Akuti Anata Shakira Nefer Nebu Ben Amun Kerefu Ben FM Heru Akuti Anata Shakira Nefer Nebu Ben Adi Jansagat Assets Unquote. Kef Uno. Nasudi Hatek Nakake Iri Eskawa Bamune Nefer Shepsi Etnet Ante Nasudi Hatek Nakake Iri Eskawa Bamune Nefer Shepsi Etnet Nesudi Hateknet Perkeru Didi Eskaua Bamunet Nefer Shepsi Etnet Nesudi Hateknet Perkeru Didi Eskaua Bamunet Nefer Shepsi Etnet Dua Shamsu in Nebuchadnezzar, Ursa Sehu Khepra, Dua Asar Nebuchadnezzar, Baut Neteru, At Amin Netekert, Anetech Here Kekenti, Amentet, Un Nefer Ab Abdu, Matentu Ai, Ku Anek Arati, Resta, Seteka Sekert, Aku Sari Nehast. Ubed Center, Set Emka, Def, Seat Neter, Uni Entet, Hana, Yash Neter, Asa, Erdit Endek, and Ari Heru, Hana Herme Endes, Ari Heru, Ahus Uatepi, Ari Sech, Ab, Ua Neter, Abu Penha Asar, Abu Pen Asar, Spur and Heru, Arit Pert, Nehast Sa, Uajit Pa Neter, Asa Ari Heru, Het Em, Aset, Abuye, Tuche, Medut Yan, Aset Sam, Ujat, Setep Saher Amseti, Enti Amsa Asar, Sa Amset, Asar Amset, Medut Nebehet, Apsheta, Ari Besa, Her Happy, Enti, Sa Asar, Sa Happy, Asar Pu Happy, Medut Yan, Net, Sedua Para, Semeshe Ru, Net Ari Maket En, Duamutef, Enti, Amsa Asar, Sa Duamutef, Asar Pu Duamutef. Medut Yan, Circuit, Inka K Sekedet, Sahru Ned, Ari Maket, In Kwepsunet. Entet Amsa Asar, Sa Kwepsunet, Asar, Pu Kwepsunet. Yanatura, Emman, Duacheta, Yanatura, Emman, Duacheta. Nebuchadnezzar Medut, Anater ke Asan, Putra, Makti Sake, Setu Sakate, Nebuchadnezzar Medut, Anater ke Asan, Putra, Makti Sake, Setu Sakate. Nebuchadnezzar Medut, Anater ke Asan, Putra, Mafti sake setu sawakake Depeche medut anatecheke asar putra Mafti sake setu sakake Adi Jensakert, Adi Duaker, Pekau Uashu, Net Net Duanet, Sefekera Senuet, Net Net Duanet, Sefekera Senuet, Net Net Duanet, Sefekera Senuet. Net net duanet se fekera sewe. Amun amun ansu. Amun amun ansu. Amun amun ansu. Amun amun ansu. Om Amun Rapata. Om Amun Rapata. Om Amun Rapata. Om Amun Rapata. Om Asara Heru. Om Asara Heru. Om Asara Seru. Om Asara Seru. Heru Makeru. Heru Makeru. Heru Makeru. Heru Makeru. Se 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 Ase, 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 Amaoera nepe ankujasene arineteru Amaoera nepe ankujasene arineteru Amaoera nepe ankujasene arineteru Amaoera nepe ankujasene arineteru Duara Nuke Atien Keperu Nuke Atien Keperu Nuke Atien Keperu Nuke Atien Keperu Heru 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 Duatu 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 Heru Nuke Nebecher Nuke Nebecher Nuke Nebecher Nuke Nebecher Nefer Remtra and Aton Nefer Remtra and Aton Nefer Remtra and Aton Nefer Remtra and Aton Makeru emba negejer. Makeru emba negejer. Makeru emba negejer. Makeru emba negejer. Nuke ua kua. Nuke ua kua. Nuke ua kua. Nuke ua kua. Nukmat, 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 Newt, Newt, Asar, 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 Asar. Pete au ank, jer uasena, nefu kepetu, embaat, dejasu, sunu, imhotep. Aset, ua suja heru, suja menut, nebu sen F sen asar, aset, etepi, suja, awitu, yasor, nesheshu, nebu, hu, shemu, metu, tau, sep, nebu, neshterta, ua, menti, heru, kut, teken, an apt, tesu, kem, ena, sefa, ha, ra, digit, kat, ena, asar, peta, keperu, medut, ra, kat, nefi, asar, keperu, uahai, uaker. Nuk aset, perke nayet, ret enau, seter sa medu, en Djehuty, tep, maat, empet, ta atert, aset neter, nefer ger, pu ankseske, sd a ament, Ursa enken, pu f nf, hau f, ready f, nepkep, dit hetep, f her, ft ent nf tau, uahai, uaker. Heru ma Heru. Heru ma Heru. Heru ma Heru. Heru ma Heru. Be'ait mesra. Be'ait mesra. Be'ait mesra. Sehu Khepra, duau, ra hauf, temu ami meshe. Sehu Khepra, duau, ra hauf, temu ami meshe. Sehu Khepra, duau, ra hauf, temu ami meshe. Uahai, uaker. Yes. Neter, neter, Amun, Setepen, Ursa, Djehuty, Djehuty, Neter, 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 Djehuty, Djehuty, Neter, neter, ooh, neter, Djehuty, Djehuty, neter, neter, ooh, neter. Digesting, descending. Uashedi, ua, tef, aha. Aha, meter. Aha, ah, meter. Emma, emete, Emma, emete, Emma, emete, Emma, emete, Tap, 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 tap. Peace, 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 peace. A tap, dua, a tap.
Uja, greetings. I'm gonna share the document now. Okay. Uja. So let's go to the top so we can review the visual. Then we'll come back down. So this is the panel that we're going through, and this is the schema of lines, and we've done these 9 lines. So we've covered good territory. But in doing the lecture last week, I found that it was important to make a stop today to review the important takeaways from the 9 lines, so that you, the listener of these teachings, can have a working template going forward, and so you can see how it all works together and what the teaching is presenting to us. So if we go all the way down now, so I took out all of the philosophical aspects and I put them together. So line 1, this was the philosophical aspect. So if we go back just a bit, so I took out all of these, the philosophical posits. These are the markings from last week's class that still remain. Sometimes I like to keep the markings so when we go back, I have something to refer to. But then anyway, you have 3 lines of text. Pull out a pen. Let's see. Okay, so we have 3 lines of text. So you have the transliteration, then you have the translation, and then you have philosophical posit. So I took out all of the posits and essentially just listed them. And then I ran them through AI. And then I went back through and edited and made adjustments. So where we are up until now. So we have bullet points that we're going to go through. So these are the salient points. So we'll just hit the bullet points. And what you, the listener, are to do is to recognize that these are the important aspects of what has been covered thus far. So the first one, Djehuty, who is also known as Hermes or Thoth, is presented as the cosmic mind, so the mind of creation. Or rather, the mind that produced creation. So the mind that thought of creation. And when we're working with these kinds of teachings, especially with these deities such as Djehuty, Ptah, and in some aspects Ra, in specific context Ra, is important to understand that the ancient sages discovered that creation is essentially a mental idea. It's a concept. It's a theory of life. And what you're living is actually a theory concerning life, or what life could be or should be. And you have, in science, you have good theories and then you have bad theories. So however your life is, it's either a good theory or a theory that needs to be adjusted through spiritual discipline, spiritual practice. Or else the endemic pain and suffering continues. And what adjusts your theory is the spiritual disciplines, the wisdom teaching. So the cosmic mind projects divine primordial principles into time and space. And those are the divinities of Kemenu, Medu Neter, Heru, Koket, Amun, and we went through those. So you could go back to that video. All of these are being uploaded to YouTube, so you can go back and review it. Djehuty presides over the city of Kemenu, and the Agdo are those divinities that was just mentioned. And he represents, this word embodies is okay, but it should means represents or symbolic of the inner essence of spiritual intuition of the nature of mind. So what it means is the knowing intuitively the nature of mind. And so the nature of mind, the inner essence of mind is spirit, consciousness. Further, Djehuty, he opens the two pupils. Remember we spoke about the sun and the moon. And we went through the whole, not the whole, but we presented the philosophy of the eye. And we spoke about how when light comes into the eye, the aperture opens, the iris opens. So it relates to symbolizing direct awareness of spirit-like consciousness. And the reflective awareness of spirit-like consciousness. In other words, the sun emits and the moon reflects. So the spirit reflects in the mind. The moon is a symbol of the mind. So the moon is Djehuty. Especially the crescent moon, and in some depictions also the full moon. The unity of Amun and Ursa Ma'adra. Ursa Ma'adra in ancient Egyptian temple inscriptions. The royal personality, who is referred to as the pharaoh, is essentially a symbol for every spiritual aspirant. So he's a stand-in for every spiritual initiate. Amun-Ra, hidden witnessing aspect of creator spirit consciousness, and Ursa Ma'at-Ra, Setepen-Ra, are essentially one. Ursa Ma'at-Ra, strength or dominion, righteousness of creator spirit consciousness, chosen by creator spirit consciousness. And so the hidden witnessing aspect of creator spirit consciousness is the same as one who is established in righteousness of creator spirit consciousness, chosen by creator spirit consciousness. And that is essentially you when you reach a certain, if phenomenally that's you going through the spiritual evolutionary process. And what you're to do is you're to discover that reality. So you're bringing that from a philosophical idea to a metaphysical working principle that then leads to a mystical realization of that wisdom understanding of the nature of self. So essentially you are the non-dual supreme reality. But something has happened. You've come into time and space, enjoyed it too much, and so the ego has accosted your higher consciousness resting seat. So your ego has removed you from your throne of higher consciousness. And the spiritual evolutionary process is for you to reclaim your throne as the monarch over the lands. And the lands meaning over all the relative planes of mind, which are foreign to your inner spirit consciousness self. The spiritual strength of the seeker. The seeker is, again, the spiritual initiate who is to discover this reality about himself or herself. And the strength arises from mastery of mind, which means control of mind. So you have to capture the birds, which means sublimating the chatter, the desires, emotions, and fantasies. In other words, you're to reach to a condition where you have placidity of mind, calm mind, relaxed mind. If your mind is desiring all the time, that's heated activity, emotionality, and fantasizing. There's too much chatter, too much movement. So your birds are all over the place. You're to get your net, which is concentration, and capture those birds in the net so that they can stop moving, so that you can realize the quietude of essential mind, which is mind void of all of these permutations or fermentations of thoughts and feelings, emotions, desires, fantasies. When that occurs, what opens to you is the unity of Amun and Ursa Setepen. If you have too much in the way, too much going on in the mind, then that mystic reality is that much more difficult, and it's extremely difficult to begin with. You have to develop strong capacity of concentration. You have to be able to concentrate, learn to concentrate with more intensity than Einstein, than any scientist, Hawking, or any famous scientist or anything like that. That's how keen your concentration must be to break through to the union of Amun Ra and Ursa Setepen within yourself. And what that takes is purity of mind. And you gain purity of mind through the spiritual disciplines and able to concentrate the mind. So you have to develop the capacity to concentrate, and to be able to concentrate, you have to calm it. So you have to sublimate your birds that are flying all over in your head, which are your thoughts, which produces your feelings, which informs your emotions. So you have to reverse the fermentation of mental activity within the mind, so that you can experience the true state of mind. The true state of mind is placidity. But when the mind is out of your control, you don't experience the placidity of mind. You experience what the mind produces. Behind the production of the mind is the essential state of the mind, which is calm, relaxation. through this discipline, everything that we just talked about, your personality becomes calm, poised, lucid. By poised, I mean also non-reactive. Non-reactive. So if someone steps on your foot in the line at the grocery store, you're not flying off the handle and getting upset and fuming and stuff like that. If someone cuts you off in traffic, you're driving, you're not getting upset and angry and the road rage kind of response. You're poised. And the poise comes from your seatedness in your calm, relaxed mind. And what informs that is the awareness of spirit consciousness. And so you want the mind to become lucid, so you can enter a renewed field of higher consciousness. And from the perspective of higher consciousness looking down, your thoughts are insubstantial. They're like ripples on a lake, on the surface of the deeper mass of water underneath. So on the surface are the ripples, and under the ripples is the calm, is the lucidity, the quiet. If you are above looking down, if you are in the higher consciousness looking at your mind, the permutations of your mind, you see the thoughts come and go, so you intuitively realize that your thoughts are essentially insubstantial from the position of spirit consciousness. From the position of the mundane world, then you have to work with your thoughts. If you have something to figure out, you figure it out. If you have to run to the bank, you have to run to the bank. If you have to go grocery shopping, you go grocery shopping. You have to talk to someone about something. From the mundane field, they have implications, and that's where Ma'atian ethics comes in. You navigate that field, the field of the ripples, through Ma'atian ethics, Ma'atian conscience. Okay, if you are lofty above, looking down on all of that activity, you realize that activity essentially from the position of spirit is insubstantial. And that's where the calm, and that's where the poise comes in. You are essentially a deeper, unaffected stillness. And that's where you're to abide. So this mental quietude allows your inner eyes of intuition to open fully. That's your sun and your moon. So that you realize you realize the shining spirit and the reflection of that shining spirit within yourself. So your macro spirit consciousness nature, and you recognize that reflection of that spirit consciousness in your own mind, and that's referred to as enlightened mind. If it's perennial, if it's substantial, you have enlightened consciousness. The seeker stretches out metaphorically. into the vastness of the universe. And I spoke about how this is, and it can be an actual metaphysical state that you go into in a meditative condition where you discover the vastness of the universe by discovering that you are essentially that vastness of the universe. But these kinds of practices, you need to be led into. Someone need to teach you how. You just can't sit there and do it. And you have to gain certain capacities within yourself to do things like that. So you can't be a hateful person and try it. Can't be a racist and try it. Because it's not going to work. You're just going to be left frustrated. So you have to remove the ignorance that binds you to localization. You remove your impurities of your feelings, and that allows for a cosmic expansion. As magnificent, as fabulous as that is, the idea is to realize that underneath that cosmic expansion is the spirit reality that is beyond that cosmic appearance. So beyond mind, beyond form, there is pure, non-dual spirit, unfabricated essence. And that leads one to realize that all the dual divinities are reflections of the one supreme divine. In a teaching like this, you can't relegate a personality like Akhenaten to be a monotheist. This is more of a henotheistic principle, or a panentheistic principle that pervades all of ancient Egyptian Kemetic philosophy, including the teaching of the Aton. The Aton is not the supreme divine. The Aton is the quintessential symbol of the supreme divine that transcends the Aton. So all the dual divinities are reflections of the one supreme that is beyond name, that is beyond form, that is transcendental and absolute. And therefore is beyond the conceptual capacity of the mind. What I mean by that is that the mind cannot conceptualize it the way it really is. The mind can create a conception of it in an approximation, but not an exactness, not with exactitude, because it is beyond the powers of the mind. So whatever the mind conceives of the one supreme, there's going to be something missing. And what is missing is the absolute nature that the mind cannot conceive of. And this was what the Eye of Ra represents. The Eye of Ra, its fractions equate to 63 over 64. So there's a fraction missing. That fraction that is missing can only be filled through direct mystical experience. And that direct mystical experience cannot be conceptualized exactly the way it occurred. So in the realm of time, your spirit eye, with your Eye of Ra, is the closest the conceptual mind can come to that, and the closest that experience in the mundane field can come to the fullness of that spirit reality. So if you have the eye of Ra, it means that you are so close to that mystic reality, but there's something missing because you're still in the field of duality. There's still a little piece missing. And that piece that is missing can only be filled with the direct mystical experience where there is no mind. Lastly, you realize, and this is when I say you, I mean this is what you should be working towards, that your identity is essentially Heru, but a specific form of Heru, the shining, victorious consciousness that has removed all the obscurations and the defilements that prevent the experience, the realization of shining spirit consciousness. That you are essentially that shining spirit consciousness. When this is realized, now without the direct experience, it should offer a certain strength, a certain certitude in the practice, and a certain certitude about your true divine nature. But when you actually realize it, when you actually actualize it, you realize the profound peace which is related to the androgynous non-dual nature of self. And not androgynous in the body. We're not talking about a biological androgyny. We're talking about the spirit androgyny of the soul. Is that you come into a calm, and the calm is indicative of a seatedness in spirit consciousness. You come into the joy, and the joy is an inner awareness of the victory of spirit over matter, meaning spirit over ego. That's where your joy comes from. And it's not an exuberant, it's an inner contentment. And with that spirit-like consciousness, there's an alignment with absolute spirit consciousness. And that's what Ursa, Ma'at Ra, Setepen Ra relates to. The chosenness is actually coming from your own inner awareness of your own true divine spirit nature. And that, when that occurs, then you realize the magnanimous nature of being. Okay, so that's where we're at right now, up until now. So next week, we'll go into line 10. So we're moving right along in 17 lines. If you have any questions about this talk, you can send them to the email sehuankh@gmail.com. That's sehuankh@gmail.com. And also look out for, I'll try to put it out today, an announcement for the OPET Festival presentation for this year, which will be around September 19th, which I'll present. The focus this year will be on Queen Hatshepsut and her teaching, philosophy, her principles. We're going to look at her temple and her chapels and the teachings that she espoused. And we'll also do a little more with Ramses III. So look out for an announcement for that as we prepare for our second OPEC Festival celebration presentation. Okay, dua everyone. Dua Djehuty, dua Djehuty, dua Djehuty, Om Ya. Hetep. Dua everyone. Dua for the devotion. Till we meet again. Hetep. So reflect on these teachings for next time. Reflect on them for your life going forward, for how you operate in the world, how you see yourself, your relationship to yourself, etc. Hetep.